When God marks you for something greater, He often removes everyone from your path. He isolates you not because you are unworthy, but because you are being purified. He silences the noise around you because He wants you to hear only His voice. Many cry in the night and say, "Why do I have no one? Why do friends disappear from me? Why do people misunderstand me?" But when God chooses a soul, He doesn't let that soul walk with the crowd. He separates them from the multitude so He can mold them in the silence. You think you've been abandoned, but in truth, you've been chosen for divine refinement. You think people left you, but God removed them so your spirit could grow in strength and purity. When God has His hand upon your life, you will notice that companionship becomes rare. The chosen ones don't fit into ordinary circles because their destiny is extraordinary. You can't fit into gossip, into shallow friendships, into meaningless conversations because your soul craves higher things. You sit in the middle of people yet feel alone because God has lifted your spirit above worldly frequencies. When your heart begins to hunger for truth, when your eyes begin to see what others ignore, when your spirit begins to discern what others mock, isolation becomes the evidence of your divine calling. God withdraws you from the crowd, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Every chosen one must pass through the valley of loneliness. This is not a curse. It is a holy process. When you have no friends, no one to lean on, no one to understand your pain, this is when God begins to train your soul. He removes the comfort of human support so that your faith roots itself in Him alone. You begin to learn that no human can carry the weight of your destiny. No friend can handle the depth of your spiritual pain. No one can understand the fire inside you because it was placed there by God Himself. He is purifying you to depend on Him, to listen only to Him, to walk where others cannot go. The world does not understand the chosen. People misunderstand your silence, your difference, your conviction. They call you proud because you no longer chase approval. They call you strange because you no longer laugh at emptiness. But you are not strange. You are sacred. You are not lonely. You are separated. You are not rejected. You are refined. When God marks you, He pulls you away from the familiar because your growth demands divine solitude. He will take away every distraction, every relationship, every comfort that prevents you from hearing His whisper clearly. If you look back, you will realize something powerful. Every season of isolation brought you closer to God. Every time people left, His presence filled the void. Every time you cried for companionship, His Spirit wrapped you in peace. Every time you were misunderstood, He understood. Every wound that people caused became the door through which you found divine wisdom. This is why chosen ones often walk alone, because their intimacy with God replaces their dependence on people. The chosen soul does not chase acceptance. It seeks alignment with God. When God calls you to something mighty, He must prune your circle. Not everyone can walk with you where you are going. Some friends carry the dust of the past. Some relationships block the flow of God's revelation. Some connections drain your strength instead of fueling your purpose. So God steps in. He separates you. He hides you. He makes people forget you. He makes the phone stop ringing. He makes your name vanish from conversations. And while your heart aches, your spirit begins to breathe. For the first time, you realize that divine loneliness is not absence. It is presence in disguise. God hides you until you no longer crave the crowd, until your joy is found in Him alone. Chosen ones have zero friends, not because they are difficult, but because they are deeply spiritual. Their frequency is higher than gossip, higher than lust, higher than worldly ambition. Their thoughts dwell in eternal matters, and so earthly company feels heavy. When they speak, people feel conviction instead of comfort. When they walk into a room, their silence exposes emptiness. When they stand alone, heaven stands with them. So people leave not because they hate you, but because the light of God upon you reveals their shadows. You are light in a dark generation, and darkness cannot dwell near you without discomfort. There are moments when the chosen one kneels before God and says, "Why am I always alone?" And God whispers, "Because I am jealous for your attention. You cannot share your heart with everyone because your heart is sacred ground. You cannot walk with everyone because your steps are directed by divine strategy. You cannot trust everyone because not everyone sees with spiritual eyes. The chosen walk a narrow path, and narrow paths are not crowded. God isolates the chosen not to break them, but to build them into vessels that carry His wisdom, His strength, His authority. When you have zero friends, God becomes your friend. When you have no one to talk to, your spirit begins to commune directly with Him. You start to feel His nearness in silence. You start to sense His answers in your thoughts. You start to hear His direction in your stillness. You become so one with His purpose that you no longer fear solitude. What others call loneliness, you call divine intimacy. What others see as rejection, you see as redirection. God strips you of the noise of the world, so you can finally hear the music of heaven. There is a sacred loneliness that only the chosen experience. It is not a punishment. It is preparation. It is not emptiness. It is expansion. When you sit alone and your spirit weeps, know that something holy is forming inside you. God is teaching you to depend on invisible strength. He is preparing your inner world for unseen glory. When people walk away, God begins to walk closer. When doors close, He begins to open your inner eyes. When the world turns its back, heaven begins to reveal its secrets. This is why chosen ones cannot blend in, because they were never meant to. The path of the chosen is not filled with laughter and crowds. It is filled with solitude and revelation. You must walk alone so you can discover your true identity in God. You must stand in silence so your spirit can hear His guidance. You must endure misunderstanding so you can learn divine patience. God will test your loyalty not in public applause, but in private abandonment. He will watch to see if you still trust Him when no one stands with you. He will test whether your worship remains pure when there is no audience. That is the mark of the chosen faith that thrives in silence. When God begins to elevate you, loneliness becomes your companion. But this loneliness is not weakness. It is strength in disguise. It means your spirit is too deep for shallow company. It means your purpose is too big for small minds. It means your destiny cannot be contained within social circles. God removes what you think you need to give you what you truly need Himself. When you embrace divine isolation, your spiritual senses sharpen. You begin to see through people's intentions. You begin to discern energy and motives. You begin to move with divine timing. You are not like others, and that difference is divine. You were born to disturb the ordinary. Your silence carries authority. Your prayers shake atmospheres. Your walk convicts the lazy. That is why people withdraw. They cannot handle the fire that burns within you. You are a mirror of God's discipline in a careless world. You are a reminder of purity in an age of corruption. You are the standard bearer of righteousness in a generation addicted to compromise. Of course, you will have zero friends because you belong to no group, no clique, no trend. You belong to God. When you try to make friends, you will notice that conversations feel empty. When you try to connect, something inside feels distant. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. Your spirit no longer feeds on surface level words. It feeds on truth, purpose, and light. You cannot pretend to enjoy what you've outgrown. You cannot sit comfortably in darkness after seeing divine light. The more you grow in God, the fewer people you can walk with. The more you understand your purpose, the smaller your circle becomes. This is divine mathematics. The higher you go, the narrower the path. Chosen ones must learn to celebrate isolation. Every quiet night, every ignored message, every empty space is part of your preparation. God is teaching you self-control, discernment, inner peace. He is detoxing you from the need for validation. He is teaching you to find comfort in His presence alone. The world chases attention, but the chosen chase alignment. While others chase popularity, you chase purity. While others seek visibility, you seek vision. And while others crave companionship, you crave connection with the divine. Many think friendship equals comfort, but the chosen understand that solitude equals growth. God uses silence to build your character. He allows rejection to reveal your strength. He hides your value so that no one can misuse it. He teaches you that the absence of people is not the absence of love. It is divine love in disguise. Because when no one else holds you, God does. When no one else believes in you, God reminds you who you are. When no one else understands you, God whispers, "You are mine." There will come a moment when the pain of loneliness will turn into the peace of divine companionship. You will stop begging people to stay. You will stop explaining your worth. You will stop lowering your light to fit into darkness. You will finally understand that being alone with God is not isolation. It is elevation. It is in that sacred silence that your power is reborn. You will realize that those who left were never meant to stand under the weight of your calling. Only God can. The chosen ones are misunderstood because their hearts carry divine secrets. They speak truth when others speak comfort. They see beyond appearance. They feel deeply, love purely, and walk righteously. This makes the world uncomfortable. So God keeps them hidden. He hides them in seasons of obscurity, not to punish them, but to protect the treasure inside them. You are not forgotten. You are being forged. The lack of friends is not a sign of failure. It is proof of your sacred mission. God isolates what he intends to anoint. Your loneliness is your anointing ground. Your tears are your training. Your silence is your spiritual weapon. Every night you cry alone, the heavens take note. Every time you choose peace over company, your strength multiplies. Every time you forgive in silence, your light intensifies. You are not invisible. You are untouchable. You are walking through divine construction. And soon what God is building in you will be revealed. Those who ignored you will see your transformation and realize that your loneliness was not a weakness. It was a womb of divine greatness. When you walk with God, you will be misunderstood. You will lose people. You will have seasons when it feels like no one stands by you. But remember, the chosen are not built in comfort. They are built in solitude. God hides his chosen in desert so they can learn the language of the wind, the silence of the stars, and the whisper of his will. When you emerge, you will not need friends to confirm your worth. You will not need crowds to recognize your purpose. You will know that your steps are ordered by the divine. That is why chosen ones have zero friends, not because they are unloved, but because they are loved too much by God to be distracted. They are too focused, too purified, too aware to be entangled. They are not meant to blend. They are meant to stand apart. Their hearts belong to heaven, and heaven's children rarely find comfort in earthly company. God has called them higher, and when God calls you higher, he strips away everything that cannot breathe at that altitude. When God sets his seal upon your soul, he begins to rearrange your entire world. He removes the temporary to reveal the eternal. He dismantles what is shallow to build what is sacred. This is why chosen ones find themselves walking through life with an emptiness that no friendship can fill. They look around and see people laughing, connecting, sharing their lives freely. Yet something inside whispers, you are not meant to stay here. That whisper is the voice of destiny, the call of separation, the divine signal that your purpose cannot be fulfilled among those who do not understand it. God does not allow chosen ones to blend with the ordinary because he has called them to become extraordinary. Loneliness in the life of a chosen soul is not a weakness. It is a divine appointment. It is in the sacred space that God reveals mysteries that cannot be spoken in the presence of the unprepared. He teaches you in silence what no mentor could teach, what no book could contain. You begin to understand that divine wisdom cannot be shared in crowded rooms. It must be whispered into an obedient heart. God isolates you because revelation requires focus, and focus requires solitude. The chosen must walk alone so they can hear the instructions that others ignore. People will say, "You've changed," and they will be right. But they won't understand that your change was not a decision. It was a transformation birthed by divine fire. When God begins to renew your mind, the things that once entertained you now disturb your spirit. The conversations that once delighted you now drain your peace. You no longer find joy in gossip or emptiness because your heart has been reprogrammed for truth. God has shifted your appetite. You crave silence because silence is where you meet him. You crave solitude because solitude is where your spirit breathes freely. The chosen are not antisocial. They are deeply spiritual. They are not cold. They are consecrated. You may wonder why God would allow such loneliness to linger. It is because isolation builds strength that no companionship could ever produce. Friends can encourage you, but they can also distract you. Crowds can applaud you, but they can also mislead you. But when you are alone with God, there is no noise, no confusion, no manipulation, only truth. God uses silence to forge warriors. He uses rejection to create resilience. He uses abandonment to awaken awareness. The chosen soul learns to fight inward battles that no one else can see. And because of that, they carry authority that no one else can imitate. You must understand that when God hides you, He is not punishing you. He is protecting you. Not everyone can handle your light. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. Some people would destroy the purity of what God is building inside you. So He keeps you unseen. The world may forget your name, but heaven knows your mission. God hides His precious vessels until the appointed time. You may feel invisible now, but that invisibility is sacred. You are being prepared in secret to be revealed in glory. Chosen ones carry burdens that others cannot see. Their battles are spiritual, not social. They fight not against people, but against unseen forces that try to dim their light. This is why they cannot afford shallow friendships. Their environment must be pure, their circle clean, their atmosphere holy. They sense energy, they feel vibrations, they discern motives. Their sensitivity is not weakness, it is divine equipment. God made them spiritually alert because their assignment requires purity of perception. When they sense negativity, they withdraw. When they feel manipulation, they retreat. This withdrawal is not pride, it is protection. It is how God keeps His chosen unpolluted in a world of corruption. Some will mistake your solitude for sadness, but it is strength. Some will call your silence pride, but it is peace. Some will say you think too deeply, but that depth is divine. God has made you different, but difference is necessary for distinction. If you were like everyone else, you would never fulfill the higher mission. The chosen are not meant to blend, they are meant to stand out. Their life is not a reflection of the world, but of the divine. This separation is costly, but it is holy. It is the price of divine purpose. When you start walking closely with God, you begin to lose interest in pleasing people. The opinions that once mattered now fade into irrelevance. You realize that only one voice truly defines your destiny, the voice of the divine. God begins to strip you from the addiction to validation. He teaches you to walk confidently, even when misunderstood. You learn to stand tall in silence, knowing that your worth is not determined by applause. The chosen walk with quiet authority because they know they are backed by God, not by men. The loneliness of the chosen is not emptiness. It is a sacred classroom. Every moment you spend alone becomes an encounter. Every tear becomes a prayer. Every silence becomes a sanctuary. You learn that you do not need company to feel complete. You need presence, God's presence. In the stillness of your solitude, you feel Him whisper strength into your soul. He tells you that your path is narrow because your purpose is great. He reminds you that isolation is not rejection but redirection. He takes the sting out of loneliness and replaces it with divine intimacy. When God truly calls you, He will remove every crutch. He will make sure that your dependence is only on Him. You will try to reach for people and they will not respond. You will cry for help and no one will appear. This is not cruelty. It is correction. God wants you to stop depending on what can leave and stop depending on what never fails. He wants your confidence to be rooted in the eternal, not the temporary. You are being trained to trust unseen strength, to rely on invisible power. This is the divine curriculum of the chosen. Chosen ones often wonder, why does no one understand me? It is because your spirit operates on a frequency higher than ordinary understanding. God reveals things to you that others are not ready to see. You feel things deeply because your sensitivity is spiritual, not emotional. You see through masks because you have been given divine sight. And those who are not ready for truth will always resist the one who carries it. Do not be surprised when people distance themselves from you. Light always exposes darkness, and darkness always flees from light. Your isolation is not a mistake. It is divine precision. God handpicked this season for you because He is planting roots that must go deep before you can rise high. The taller the tree, the deeper the roots must be hidden underground. That's what He's doing with you, burying your foundation deep in His will, far away from public eyes. When your time comes to rise, no storm will uproot you because your strength was built in solitude. Your roots of faith, trust, and obedience were nourished in the dark soil of loneliness. You may look around and see others surrounded by friends, moving with crowds, celebrated and seen. And you might think, why not me? But remember this truth. Some are built for speed. Others are built for endurance. You are not in a race of popularity. You are in a journey of purpose. God is not rushing your destiny. He is refining your character. You are not being delayed. You are being designed. While others run ahead, you are being equipped for something that requires more depth, more patience, and more faith. You will not always walk alone. The day will come when God connects you with souls who carry the same frequency, who understand the same divine language, who burn with the same spiritual fire. But until then, He must keep you separated, because premature connection can destroy divine destiny. He must keep you hidden from wrong alliances, because not everyone can handle your calling. When God finally brings the right people, they won't compete with your light. They will complement it. They won't drain you. They will elevate you. But that day can only come after you have mastered the art of walking alone with Him. Chosen ones are not lonely. They are in training. God is teaching them to listen before they lead, to endure before they influence, to surrender before they shine. Every lonely night builds patience. Every silent day builds humility. Every unanswered question builds wisdom. When God finally releases you into your purpose, you will speak with authority, walk with clarity, and live with unshakable peace. You will look back and thank Him for the seasons when you had no one, because those were the seasons when you found everything: His strength, His voice, His power. There is a divine mystery in loneliness. It cleanses your motives. It removes the desire for showmanship. It empties you of pride. It teaches you to value presence over people, purpose over pleasure, purity over popularity. The chosen must be refined through these holy fires so they can carry divine glory without corruption. God cannot trust an untested soul with heavy assignments. That is why He allows isolation. It is His way of proving your heart. Can you still love when no one loves you back? Can you still serve when no one notices? Can you still pray when no one joins you? These are the questions that define the chosen. Many crave the calling but reject the cost. But the chosen cannot escape the cost. It is part of their identity. They walk through betrayal, misunderstanding, rejection, and silence, yet they remain faithful. Their love for God outweighs their longing for people. Their purpose outweighs their pain. Their obedience outweighs their loneliness. This is what separates them from the rest. They are loyal in the desert. They keep walking even when there is no applause, no support, no company, because they know that where the crowd cannot go, God already walks before them. You are not forgotten. You are being shaped. You are not rejected. You are being redirected. You are not unloved. You are being guarded. Every friend that left was part of a divine design. Every silence that hurt was part of your spiritual awakening. Every door that closed was God whispering, "Not here, not yet. You are not behind. You are right on time." Because the timeline of the chosen is not earthly. It is heavenly. When you have 0 friends, it does not mean you are unloved. It means your love is too deep to be understood by shallow hearts. It means your vision is too vast to fit into small minds. It means your loyalty is too sacred to be wasted on those who do not honor it. God removes the wrong people so He can replace them with His presence. And when His presence fills your space, you realize that solitude with God is the greatest friendship you could ever have. And when the silence has finished its work in you, when the loneliness has purified your motives, when the long nights of isolation have carved humility and power into your soul, you will rise with a peace that cannot be shaken. You will no longer crave company. You will crave clarity. You will no longer seek to be seen. You will seek to serve. You will no longer chase belonging. You will rest in divine purpose. God will have taught you that solitude was never punishment. It was preparation. He was never taking from you. He was transforming you. In the end, the chosen ones realized that 0 friends was never truly 0. It was one unchanging presence, one faithful companion, one eternal friend, God. He was there in every silence, behind every tear, beyond every betrayal. He was the unseen listener to your prayers, the invisible comforter in your pain, the quiet strength in your weakness. When everyone walked away, He remained. When every door closed, He opened Himself to you. When every word failed, His whisper was enough. And now your spirit stands taller, not because people lifted you, but because God Himself carried you. Your strength no longer depends on who stays, but on who sustains. You walk differently, speak differently, love differently, because you have been remade in divine solitude. The world may never understand your path, but heaven knows your name. The loneliness that once broke you has now built you. The silence that once scared you has now filled you with wisdom. You have learned that the absence of people is not the absence of love. It is the presence of God in its purest form. So walk boldly, chosen soul. Walk without fear. Walk without apology. You are not meant to fit in. You are meant to stand out. You are not meant to follow. You are meant to lead. You are not meant to be surrounded. You are meant to be strengthened. God has walked you through the wilderness so that no human could ever claim the glory for your transformation. What He started in your solitude will soon be seen by the world. And when that day comes, when your light begins to shine before those who once left you behind, you will not feel pride. You will feel gratitude. Gratitude that God loved you enough to isolate you. Gratitude that He silenced the noise so you could hear His voice. Gratitude that He took away the wrong people to make room for His divine presence. Gratitude that He taught you how to be whole without the world. For now you understand the chosen ones have zero friends because their hearts belong entirely to God. They are not empty. They are full of His peace. They are not lost. They are led by His hand. They are not lonely. They are loved beyond measure. Their path may be narrow, but their purpose is vast. Their journey may be quiet, but their destiny resounds through eternity. And so if you find yourself alone, misunderstood, unseen, rejoice. You are not forgotten. You are favored. You are not behind. You are being built. You are not isolated. You are being anointed. The world may not walk with you, but God walks ahead of you. And that is enough. That has always been enough, because the chosen one who walks alone with God never truly walks alone.